Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. Well, today I want to talk about last year's #1 player on the PGA Tour, who's now presently #1 player in the world. That's Jordan Spieth. This is a remarkably talented young man to play in terms of his golf skills, as well as I guess we could say his own personal skills in terms of dealing with people and in life. And he's just a remarkable young man. And I guess we could say that he would certainly be a good role model for anybody who wants to play golf, especially young juniors want to come up and hopefully make it to the PGA Tour, young ladies to the LPGA Tour, whatever, and being the best player you can be. What do I see that I like about Jordan Spieth? And he's causing a lot of people to talk about him. He's in the news all the time. Well, he's #1 in the world. But the thing about it is he's a phenomenal young man. He's got everything in the right place. The #1 thing I like about him is that you almost never hear the word I or me in what he talks about. It's always we. He's all about the team. His team starts right from his family, his mom and dad, and his grandmother, grandfather, and especially his little sister that it's made him a different person because of her special needs that she needs to in her life, and it's nothing better than seeing him when he wins a tournament. She runs out and she jumps up into his arms, and so he's got his family team in place. Great family, great morals, great upbringing, doing everything right. But for playing the PGA Tour and being successful out there, he's got a great team around him in terms of his golf instructor, Cameron McCormick, and I've read about him, and I think he's an outstanding teacher. I think he definitely thinks outside of the box. I've read an article about the short game work that he does with him and some of the drills he's created and the things they do, and it's like really fantastic. And Jordan overall is quite vertical, but I'm going to talk about his swing and things I see in a minute. But again, his rest of his team is his business manager, who I just saw was his caddy hurt himself, had an ankle problem and couldn't caddy. His business manager, Jay Danzy, caddied for him out in the Far East, I guess, someplace. And I know Jay Danzy from years back when he was trying to get DJ to sign with him back when DJ was in his senior year at Clemson and was the #1 ranked amateur in the world back then and Collegiate Player of the Year in 2002. And so I know Jay from then, and he's a pretty sharp guy, and he was out there caddying. And to all the other things, his physical trainers, fitness people, whatever it is, he's got a team, and he works with the whole team. And it's always about we when he speaks. And I think that's a great thing that's making him a better person, because he knows he's only as good as the people he surrounds himself with, and that's what's outstanding about it. I think I can definitely say. But I know I can say that Jordan is definitely vertical. He's got nice high hands up here. He comes down, he finishes maybe a fraction, a little bit left, but he's vertical basically on both sides, pretty close to on plane, which is good. I think he might turn a little bit too much, but I don't think he's really getting severely in the sacred burial ground. So I think he's got somewhat of a quite long-lasting swing. The one thing I see that I'm hearing a lot, both from the announcers and things I read, is there's a lot of talk saying that he's not long enough out there. Well, give me a break. He's hitting it. He's averaging it just under 290. All right, and I think they're saying he's flying the ball in the air, no problem, about 280 most of the time with no wind. Come on, and that's quite long enough. And you can't tell me that getting to #1 in the world, knocking out Rory. I know Rory was out for a while, but some of those other guys that they hit rocket launch. They're rocket launching stuff when they're driving, and he's staying up with them, and he's hanging in with them, and he's beating them, and he's #1, and Jason Day's #2. Rory might be #2, and Day's 3, whatever. They're somewhere up in there. But Rory and Day are extremely mega long, okay, as well as some of the other people holding on, coming up the rear behind him. So I think he's adequately long enough. You got to remember, PGA Tour courses are not like the courses I and you play on. Their courses are cut down, really short grass in the fairways, almost as shorter than most of the fringes on the golf courses we play. And when they get the conditions that the way the tours want it, the fairways are really hard. So the ball hits and runs like crazy. So they're getting everybody talks about the clubs hit the ball farther and the balls are going farther. But I tell you what, you go back and look at the PGA Tour 25 years ago, you watch when the balls hit, how much they rolled out. Watch where they hit today and where they roll out on average when they're not having to play where it's wet or it had been raining just before the tournament started or whatever. If they've got the time to dry out, those balls are rolling 30, 40 yards. And that's not just because it's downhill. The courses are made to play hard because they don't want balls getting on, mud getting on the balls. So that's adding a lot to the distance. So Jordan, in my opinion, is not lacking distance, and he's only 22, and you know he's working out, so he's going to eventually keep getting stronger. All right. So I wouldn't worry about that. The thing I would worry about is what I'm seeing right now. I've been watching him, and every time I see a face-on view, as I am to the camera right now, when I see Jordan get up here to the top of his backswing, as he gets up to the top, I'm not certain yet if his stance is too wide, but it's okay to maybe just a little bit. But what I see is as he's turning into his right side, I'm seeing a little bit of maybe too much hip turn, which is starting to, I see a drifting of the right leg this way, which means if you watch his spine and his head at the top, he's got a little EBRT, end of backswing reverse tilt, which is getting him slightly ahead of the ball. Now when he gets that slightly ahead, he just makes a nice move down from there. He comes back a little bit, you know, where the head goes backwards because he's making a good transition. He's with the lower body starting first, which gives us the dipsy doodle, so to speak, where we come and get behind the ball. But because he's drifted so far forward, he never truly gets behind the ball enough for his arms to straighten out. So you hear and you see on TV, they talk about it a lot, and you see it where they show he comes through with a little bit of a bowed arm, left arm. Or in this case, we could call it a little bit of chicken winging. Why? Because it's got a chicken wing to keep his hands far enough back so he can make good solid contact. If it didn't chicken wing and he's ahead, he'd be coming down too steep on the ball. Could likely even be hitting a lot of thin ones, or you know, even getting him a little bit chunky. So his brain's figured out that he's got to make that. Lee Westwood does the same thing. His arm's always bowed coming in impact. Now, I don't know if either of them has elbow problems, but I don't think they do, because when I look at their swings, I see they got that drift forward, the EBRT, end of backswing reverse tilt. So this happens, and then he hits it. And that itself will also be, if you want to call it, a power leak in terms of Jordan not getting maximum compression on the ball, which would give him more yardage. If he were, as true PPGS is, we're all in line. Both arms are relatively straight at impact. We're behind the ball, like hitting a home run. Okay, so Jordan Spieth, the world is his oyster. Number one golfer last year in income, both on winnings and endorsements. He's taken over from Tiger Woods, and in fact, Jordan's number one, Phil Mickelson's number two, and Tiger's down to 3. All right. But ironically, Tiger only had about $400,000 in $460,000 in winnings, so he made the rest with his endorsements, which his endorsements alone are way more than Phil and Jordan. So I see great things for Jordan. I'd be willing to bet the farm right now that he'll never lose those values. I think it's in him. It's in his DNA. He's just a great young man, going to be one of the best ambassadors there's ever been for golf. And with that, he's going to be a great role model for all the young folks coming up, and it could be a great model for all of us older folks to live and talk and act like he does. So Jordan Spieth is there. I'd just like to see him be able to turn and load into that right leg where he's behind the ball, so when he can come into impact, his arms will straighten out, and then he'll hit it more solid, straight, and longer, and that will start quelching all those folks who are saying he's not long enough. But I think even this way, he's long enough. Well, that's it today on talking about the talk of the town, the talk of the golf world, Jordan Spieth. I'll be talking to you all again soon.